All right, everybody, welcome to the Leadership Mastermind podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Peak, and this is the wonderful Laura Brandeo, my co-host. Hello, Laura.
Hello, Mitch. So happy to be here. This is so exciting. Our very first episode.
Yes, very first episode to get this in the books. So I appreciate you joining me, and I'm excited for it. So I want to introduce everyone to our guest. Our special guest today on the very first episode is Mr. Dale Vermillion, and I'm going to let Laura go ahead and introduce him.
Absolutely. Well, Dale Vermillion is from Mortgage Champions, and for nearly 4 decades, Dale has dedicated his life to helping loan officers, sales managers, and leading executives reach new levels of success in their lives and careers. Having trained over 1 million professionals and consulted over 500 organizations, Dale has compiled the best practices of top performers into award-winning sales, customer service, and leadership systems that have helped organizations double, and in some cases, triple their numbers. Well, on the Leadership Mastermind podcast, we want to provide our audience with insights and perspectives from our industry experts so they can learn, grow, and be inspired to be a leader to your clients and your teams. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dale.
Hey, Laura and Mitch, it's so great to be with you guys. Thank you. I'm super honored to be here.
Yes, thank you very much for being with us today. And we want to jump right in. So I want to know, what are your 3 pillars of leadership?
Great starting question. So number 1, leadership is about transformation. If we don't understand that simple principle first and foremost, then all the rest don't really matter. So it's about transformation, number 1. Number 2, it's about replication. The whole key to leadership. AirPod there. The whole key to leadership is really focusing on making sure that you understand that the job of a leader is to replicate yourself, and you think about the ramifications of that. Everybody's in leadership because they were the best at what they did. That's how they got there. Your job is to replicate people like you. That affects your hiring decisions. That affects the way you manage, the way you train. That's critical. And the third thing is having a servant heart. I think it's really important that servant leadership has to be the baseline of everything we do, because if we're servants to our people, they're really going to respond well to our leadership.
Wow. That's excellent, and totally agree with you. And you're right, Dale. Leaders get there because they're the best at whatever it is that they did. But a lot of people have trouble with transitioning into that leadership mindset. Yep. Okay, why do you think people have that difficulty? And second part of that is, I mentioned that we're here developing leaders, and leaders, sometimes people think that means I have to have a team. No, you're also a leader to the families that you're serving. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I love your second point. I'm going to go backwards if you can, because I love what you just said in that second point, that, we should be leaders in our community. We should be leaders in the people that we serve. Look, in the mortgage arena in particular, where, I spend all my time or most of my time, we change people's lives in a powerful way. It's amazing what we can do. But in any business that you're in, no matter what that business is, you've got to look at how your products and services really do communicate to the people you work with, and how you can make an inherent difference in their life. So you're absolutely right. We are leaders. We are looked at to be confident. We are looked at to be authoritative in the things we do. That's what leaders do. We're also looked to be visionary, and leaders are visionary. Now, in answer to the question, why people struggle moving into leadership, I think the number 1 reason for that is because there's really 2 kinds of leaders. There's what I call doers, and there's delegators. And delegators are the ones that are the great leaders. The doers are not. The problem is, a lot of times, Laura, is that, we work in a role. We have a position, we're successful, we move up in that position to get in a leadership role, and our mindset is still to do. So what happens is, we just, every time our employees don't do what they're supposed to do, we dive in, we jump in, and we do it for them. And what you're doing in those scenarios is you're enabling them not to succeed, because they're not learning how to do it themselves. You're not creating responsibility with them. You've got to instead delegate so that you're empowering them versus enabling them. That's really the key to successful leadership. If you empower them by showing them how you do it, to create that replication principle I talked about, but then let them do it and let them make mistakes. That's the other side. we're afraid they might make a mistake. They might do it wrong. Well, they are. That's how we learn.
Guess what? They
learn.
will. But those are the valuable lessons, right? Those are the lessons where you can provide that feedback. And I think that also gives an opportunity for a leader to bond with their team, right? Those are those moments where you're creating that communication. You're making it so that you're viewed upon as, I want to make you successful. So I'm going to partner with you. I'm going to evaluate, hey, you know, next time, try it this way. Let me show you a more effective way, or a way that you can keep going on that same path, and maybe you can do this. I love that. Great. Go ahead, Mitch. I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, I think 2020 has been a year that has shown us, you know, who the leaders are, especially in this industry. You know, you have, like you said, you may not have a team, but you are a leader. You know, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people following you on Facebook. You know, they see your posts, they see, you know, what you're saying about the pandemic. They're seeing what you're feeling frustrated about, what you're, you know, being happy about. So, you know, there are probably leaders out there that stuck their head in the sand, you know, in the beginning. It was like, oh, this is just terrible. It's the end. You know, what are we going to do? But you see people out there that just bounce back right away and came up with new ideas, you know, like Renee Rodriguez, I see as a perfect example of that. So can you tell us a little bit, Dale, of what you've done, you know, in 2020 that's different than what you've done before to kind of, you know, springboard yourself?
Yeah, I certainly can. It's been a monumental year for our company. You know, I've been a speaker for 25 years. I literally and typically travel about 200 business days a year for the last 24 of those 25. And, you know, I've done 4,500 speaking engagements in my career. So it's a lot of work live with companies and with, you know, loan officers and leaders and all those kinds of things. Well, this year we've completely redefined ourselves, and we are now a completely online company. You can kind of see probably in the background behind me, my officer, we have a studio set up here that we invested in. We've got everything built out in our technology. So now today, you know, I'm still speaking all over the country every day. I mean, I'm booked up literally months in advance, and it's all virtual now. We do virtual live simulcast through our studio. I can interact with people just like I would in a seminar. We do webinars, we do podcasts, we do e-learning. We built all of that. So we've literally learned in this business, we had to redefine ourselves, and we just did. We didn't complain about it. We didn't whine about it. We didn't say, oh, woe was me, you know, what's wrong? I said, this is where the market's moving. And thankfully I had, you know, two young studs working for me that, you know, were millennials who know a lot more than I do about technology and those things, and they made it work. And because of that, we have built a very successful transition in our business in a very short period of time. Plus, I get to see my bride more often. I mean,
there you go. That's always a bonus.
Yeah.
So, Dale,
29 years of marriage, we've never seen each other so much as we have this year, so it's been great.
Yeah, it's a good thing and a bad thing. For some people, that's positive. Some people, it's negative. So, Dale, let's stay on that track. Okay, so let's stay on that track. So now let's speak about our originators. Let's speak about our originators and transitioning of, listen, you know, we all know it's changed. We're in this digital mortgage era. We know that everything is, we're now doing business with our families the way they expect to do business, whether it's, you know, ordering something on Amazon or clicking, you know, anything on their phone for their app. So take me through what is the best way for us to continue to make sure that our originators are continuing to innovate and they're comfortable and confident with doing business with our families that way.
Yeah, that's great point. So two phrases that I would use for that: high tech, high touch. That's what you have to be today. And if you're not competitive. End of conversation. So let me break those down. Let me take the high tech first. Look, there are so many online applications today that you can utilize. There's so many technology tools, from CRM systems to point of sale systems to loan origination systems to back end systems that you can keep in contact with your customers and make sure you do it. You've got to buy the best of those within your affordability. And there's a lot of them that are not that expensive, to be honest with you. It's not like it's a big hurdle. So you've got to have those technologies to be available and to be accessible to those customers that want to have more of a technology-based experience. But here's the key, and this is so critically important to every originator out there and every company who hires originators, is the mistake that I am seeing constantly that we are making in today's marketplace is we are creating self-service type of mortgage operations where it's becoming only high tech and no high touch. So it's, here, I'll send you a link, you fill out that application, and I'll get you when it's time to sell the deal. think about that mindset right there, okay? You've got zero relationship with that borrower. You have zero understanding of their financial goals or needs other than the application information they filled out, but you're gonna show them how to change their family's life in the next 15 minutes. That don't work. As the old saying goes, that dog don't hunt. What you've got to do is you've got to make sure that you have that technology, and when you get your customers to fill out their applications online, co-pilot that thing with them. Be on the phone with them, walk them through the process, make sure they understand it, and then have a conversation about what are you trying to accomplish financially in your life? Because look, a mortgage is money at the end of the day. It's not, if you just sell mortgages, you're selling debt, and nobody likes debt. If you're selling money and all the monetary benefits, you're changing lives and helping families to actually live the American dream, which is what we offer.
Absolutely. I think the the key, like you said, is the high touch. There's plenty of commercials out there that tell people to go click a button and get a mortgage. And it's easy to take, I think, people away from that because, like you said, they're not high touch. They're not giving them an experience. They're giving them the technology. So if you can provide that technology and you can provide the human experience, I think everybody wins there. So, what other scenarios do you think loan officers need to include in order to be more high touch in today's market?
Well, one of the things you got to remember about today's marketplace is that we have never been in a more competitive marketplace in history because of technology. Today, estimates tell us that a customer is going to get between 100 to 200 solicitations from other lenders from the time they inquire for a mortgage to the time they actually fund that mortgage, if you can believe that. And that's because they're getting, the minute you pull a credit report, they're getting credit triggered. They're getting hit on their smartphones. They're getting hit on their emails. They're getting hit online. They're getting hit on social media. Everywhere they go, everything we say in our smartphones, Siri and Alexa hear that, and you're going to get hit with an application, solicitation from another lender. So we as loan officers have to understand that you've got to cement a relationship on the front end. Today in this high volume marketplace we're in, the mistake is everybody's rushing their applications because they think, well, if I rush, I'll get more applications in. So you're just throwing it against the wall to see what's going to stick, and nothing sticks. You actually need to slow down in this marketplace to do it right, build that relationship, to protect yourself, and to build that loyalty you need from the customer. And then the key is stay in contact during the process. Be proactive about this. Don't just do a drip response every time something happens on the file or something goes wrong. That's what a lot of loan officers I see do. Instead, proactively set in your schedule. Say, you know what, I'm going to take one day out of the week where I'm going to block out 3 hours. And I'm proactively going to make sure that in that 3 hours, I'm updating everybody in my pipeline on what's happening on their file so that they're not calling me. They're not, getting upset with me. They're staying up to date on things. And you're building and nurturing relationship. But you know what else you're doing? If you're really wise about that, you're also asking for referrals, nurturing referrals, building renewal opportunities. You're building your business for the future while you're getting that loan finalized. It's really a process of not only building that initial relationship, but maintaining the relationship and showing that customer that you're invested in them.
100%. And we know we're in a relationship business. That's what it's all about, right? It's all about relationships. And I've heard you say email has killed so many businesses. So let's speak about that, right? Because years ago, that email crutch or those automated notifications, they didn't exist. So you would jump on the phone and you would have those conversations, or you would even be face to face. Okay. So how have you seen us relying on this technology actually be a detriment to our industry?
Well, Laura, you make such a great point. Email is the death of the mortgage business today. It really is. It has become the number one source of communication for both sales and operations alike. And you know what? You can accomplish a whole lot more on a 3-minute phone call than you can on 18 emails back and forth where you really don't answer anything because the customer doesn't even understand what you're asking them half the time if you're talking in mortgage terminology. So it's really important that we shift our mindset out of this, I'm just going to live out of my emails all day and be reactive to the entire world around me and let everybody control my schedule, into, no, I'm going to be proactive each day. I'm going to come in, I'm going to establish my schedule, set my priorities, and I'm going to make sure that I'm time blocking out so that what I'm doing is I'm proactively building my business and I'm proactively staying in contact. And I'm going to choose telephone, or even better than that, virtual, like we're doing today. This should be the way you converse with your customers, is on a Zoom or on a, Microsoft Teams or whatever technology you want to use, and get a little bit more. Try to supplant, the lack of connection in today's pandemic world that we live in by creating some visual and virtual connection with your customers. If you do that, you really bring the relationship back in. You also keep them better updated, and you don't have a lot of these problems you're talking about. Because look, emails are it's overrun in the mortgage industry, and we just got to take a different approach.
I'm glad you brought that up. So going back to what you said, we're trying to bring things back from email back to the phone, but at the same time, we want to get away from the phone and go more virtual to Zoom and things like this. So at what point, in the process, do you think is the best point to jump on and do something, face-to-face over video in the process of getting a mortgage?
I think when you're taking that initial application is the ideal time if you have the technological capability to do it, because you're really connecting with the borrower in a way that is very different. Look, even the three of us together, just seeing you guys and being able to talk to you, we build such a better connection that way, because you can see the sincerity people have when they talk. You can see their excitement about things. Like when you're talking to the customer, when they see you're excited for them, that makes a big difference. Our whole corporate philosophy is built on this thing called the others first mindset. That's what everything we do is built around. It's based on my life verse out of the book of Philippians 2 and 3 and 4. It says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in all things with humility, value others above yourself, looking out for their interests and not your own." If we as leaders lead that way, and if we as originators originate that way, we're all about our customers. We're not about our commissions. We're about our customers. When you do that, your commissions are through the roof. There's no way they're not going to buy from you, because they know you're truly intrinsically interested in helping them change their life in a powerful way. I wore today my Be a Humble Hero t-shirt. That's kind of the mindset I believe in, is be a humble hero for your customers. Change your life in a powerful way. Show them how to get a loan that they can afford, that makes sense, that sets them up for the future, helps them build wealth. These are the things we do in the mortgage industry that make us so unique and so special from any other industry out there.
Absolutely. And no matter what's happening in our industry, you will always be successful with that mindset. It doesn't have to be 14-year record lows and the lowest rates ever. It doesn't matter. We all know, for anyone that's been in the mortgage industry for a long time, it's all cycles. And we have to be prepared for all of those cycles. So let's actually go into that, okay? So yes, 2020 was certainly a very crazy time, and record volumes and everything. We all know 2020. But of course, we also know, for anyone that's been in this for quite some time, it changes, and it changes quickly. And we all need to be prepared for as the cycles are going to change. So let's speak about the future. Let's speak about when the rates normalize. And it, listen, oh my goodness, maybe it'll be 4.5. Such high rates, So, what happens when it goes to that? How do we prepare ourselves for those changes and being ready for when that next cycle comes?
Well, thankfully, I'm a guy who started my career in 1983 as a loan officer, selling 17.5% to customers in a 10% market. So, and I was closing 25 loans a month. That's how I became a young branch manager and district manager and regional vice president and all that stuff, because it wasn't hard to do. And the key to that was really focusing on where the market's going and how can I help my borrowers and change their life within that. So we know the 2021 MBA forecast is that we're going to see a massive shift in the purchase in 2021. They're projecting the highest purchase production in history. Mike Frantantoni said 1.59 trillion is the estimate. That beats the 1.51 trillion result that we had in 2005, which was the best year we've ever seen in purchase in all of U.S. history. So, if you're not nurturing right now, if you're working in third-party referral relationships and you're not right now setting up for 2021, visiting, even virtually with your realtors and your referral partners, establishing those relationships or reestablishing, talking to them about what are the 2021 plans, and make sure you're engaging with them, then you're going to be behind the 8 ball by the time the market shifts. The mistake that people make is they shift completely. So, you see the market shift and people go all in one way or the other. I've always consulted companies. You should be 60-40 or 40-60, no matter what the market's doing. So in a low rate market, you're 60-40 refi to purchase. In a high rate market, you're 60-40 purchase to refi is the way you're going to work it. And those refis in a higher rate market, they're all cash out debt elimination refis. That's what you're doing. You're not doing rate and terms because it doesn't even exist. But so what? There's plenty of people that are looking for cash all the time and looking to get in a better position. You can help them do that through a refi no matter what the market conditions become. So if those rates do go up to 3.5 or 3.3 like they're projecting for next year, so what? We're going to be fine. If you do that, your purchase is going to be really strong next year. So you got to make sure you're balancing your portfolio and you're thinking through where the market is going and you're thinking ahead of it. Don't be lagging behind the market. Be thinking ahead of the market all the time. That's what makes top producers top producers.
Yeah, and I think what I say is there's people out there that are just wave riders. They're in it for the ups and the downs, and I don't think it necessarily has to be that way. So what do you advise these people to become more consistent? What's your number one advice there to become more consistent and not just ride the waves through the ups and downs?
Well, first off, you should be an expert at both refi and purchase. That's number one. I see a lot of people who do one or the other, and I always remind them, you want to be good at both. Because if I'm a purchase loan officer, I want to be able to do that refi for my purchase borrower in 3 years when they want to do one. Because otherwise, I'm handing them over to another loan officer to do their business, and I'm never going to get their next purchase again. So number one is you got to make sure you're diverse and you're doing both sides of that equation. Number two is just stay consistent. Look, the key to this, you know what the number one thing, Mitch, that I find is the most underutilized, underused, and not taken advantage principle of marketing is? It's repeat and referral business. That's the easiest, that's the lowest hanging fruit you've got. But I see it all the time where we get so busy with referral partnerships or with leads that we're going to the next lead, the next referral, the next lead, the next referral. We don't stop and go, wait a minute, I've built a database of customers. I've worked with a bunch that I couldn't help. Turn down files were 25% of my business all the years I managed. And I managed a 2,300 employee company with 900 loan officers. And we did 25% of our business out of our turn down files, another 30% out of our cancellation files, because situations change. The person you can't help today, you might be able to help in 6 months. So everybody you touch, you've got to keep a sustained relationship with. You got to make sure you follow up with them on a regular basis. And particularly your customers, you're working them all the time to keep getting that repeat business and any referrals you can get. And you only get that if you have a great relationship. It all goes back to that first call, that first interaction, that first application. You do it right the first time, you set yourself up for success for the rest of your career. You do it wrong, you fail.
Yeah, and I actually want to touch on that. Okay, so we all know something we've seen some originators fall into the trap of is saying yes to things that they actually should have said no to early on. Situations that they just kept working, that we know in hindsight, it would have been better to be open and honest and guide them to maybe it wasn't the right time, or maybe there was a better way to approach it. What is some advice on setting those proper expectations and knowing when to say no? Because that's something that takes leadership ability also.
It does. And Laura, you make such an incredible point. If I were to tell you the number one mistake that I've seen loan officers make this year in 2020, outside of not just building relationships the way we would normally do, it's not setting right expectations. Not with our realtors, not with our borrowers, not with anybody we're working with. We're living in 2020 like it's 2019.
Right.
We'll take 30-day contracts all day long. We'll tell customers, we'll try to close you in 30 days. And we know darn well that's probably not going to happen. And then we beg forgiveness later. That's the wrong approach to take. You've got to set right expectations from the start and be realistic about what you can do. That's really critical to success. The other side of that equation is this, okay? There's too many loan officers who've never met an application they didn't like.
Exactly.
You gotta change that, especially in a high volume marketplace. So think about this for a minute, okay? Because I train a lot of big companies with a lot of loan officers, and I say to loan officers, look, when you put a deal in the pipeline, that it's got hair all over it, man. It's, you got 5 sources of income, the credit score is right on the fringe, the debt ratio is right on the fringe. The chances of that thing making it are minimal, but even if it does, it'll take 4 times as long to close, which means you could have closed 4 good loans in that same amount of time. So you missed a 400% increase in your business, and here's the worst part. You just ticked off all of your colleagues
yeah.
because you just jammed up operations over that stinky deal that you want to get. You got to come to a realization, understand, in a high volume market, I've got to make sure that I'm really asking the right questions up front of the bar. If you can't verify your income, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have the equity, I'm done. If you don't have the down payment, I'm done. You know, if you don't have things in place, I can't do it. If your credit score is not there, then let's get it repaired and let's see you in 3 months or 2 months.
That's
And
right.
then let's take the application when it makes more sense. But that requires patience, and that does require leadership. You've got to be authoritative. And let me say one more thing about that, because I think a lot of times what happens is we think it's mean to tell somebody they don't qualify. It's actually mean to mislead them that they do qualify when they don't. That's my feeling about it.
Yeah, I was going to say when you were saying earlier is, you know, telling somebody, oh, we'll get you done in 30 days and it'd be 60, you know, that's the worst, you know, the worst thing you can do. I mean, you got to think of it as a loan officer, you got to think of it as a human value. You know, do you want to be told it's 60 days and to get it done in 40 and feel great about it? Or do you want to tell somebody it's going to be 30 and it gets done in 45 and then, you know, you got to apologize. And like you said, you just kind of ruined the relationship that you built with that person, because they're going to be like, well, they told me 30 days and, you know, now here I am 2 weeks later, I still don't have my loan. So I think you're, you know, upsetting your potential leads just by misleading them from the beginning.
Yeah, you know, Mitch, I've said it for years, there's 1,000 things we talk to a customer about during the application. There's only 3 they remember. What are those 3? The interest rate you quote them, the fees you quote them, and the turn time you tell them. Those are the 3 they're going to hold you to every time. So you've got to make sure that you are very transparent with them. And look, I get it. I get the pressure. You know, the realtors want to close fast. The buyers and sellers want to close. I get it. But if you say to somebody, look, let me just explain to you what's happening in the mortgage market today. And all you have to do is ask them this question. How much has your life changed in 2020? And they go, oh my gosh, it's changed exponentially. So is the mortgage business. Everybody we're working with is dealing with COVID. That means the appraisers, the inspectors, the title company, the closing agent, everybody. It's a slower process today, just like Amazon's slower, just like your drive-through line is slower. Everybody's slower today, so are we. But you know what? I'm going to try and get you done in 30 days. I'm going to do my best. But let's not create a situation where we set a 30-day contract and then we're doing 3, 4, 5 extensions. Everybody hates everybody by the end, and it's a terrible experience. Let's instead set a 45-day or maybe a 60-day contract, knowing we're going to do everything to try to get done in 30 days. And once we get a couple weeks in the process, and we got a better handle on how your qualifications are, how the process is flowing, we can dial that in and say, okay, now we can close in 36 days and we're good to go. And everybody's happy. The realtor is not upset. The borrowers are not upset. Everybody wins, and you get that repeat business.
Absolutely. So you mentioned about relationships, right? And we know how important relationships are. And of course, we were speaking specifically with our referral partners and our families we're providing service to. How about, we mentioned those hairy deals. So I want your opinion on, how about the relationship you need to bond with your ops staff, with your lenders, with your associates, your LOA, your processors, the people that are supporting you? Because I think that's a component that sometimes we don't speak about, but yet is extremely vital to the success of being a leader of whether you're an individual loan officer or within an organization.
Yeah. Look, you just hit a major nerve right there that's so important for us to chat about, because what I'm seeing all over the country and all these companies that I consult to and train and work with is, I'm seeing this all the time. You know, the loan officers are upset, they're mad, they're frustrated, and like, you know, I don't understand what ops problem is. You know, they can't keep up, they're not hiring people. And I stop them, I go, do you want to know why you're losing ops people? Because you keep sending those snarky emails, you keep calling them up and beating them half to death over your closings. Who would work under that environment? See, as loan originators and leaders in the mortgage business, we make incredible money. That's one of the great things about this industry, is that there's an unlimited chance for income. Processors don't make an unlimited amount of income. Underwriters don't make an unlimited amount of income. They're getting paid pretty good, but they're not anywhere near what sales can make. We have to keep reminding ourselves that we don't survive without them. We don't close the loan without the people behind the scenes who do the work. If there's anybody you should be nice to, If there's anybody you should be sending candy to, donuts to, flowers to, thank you emails to, it ought to be your ops team. You know what? Because if you're nice to them, well, let me tell you what I've learned. Your file's going to somehow magically make it to the top of the stack. It's probably what's going to happen.
Please, can I get that clear to close now? it's a miracle.
And to that point, I think in today's market especially, you better be nice to them, because I mean, every time I pull open Facebook, someone's asking if anybody knows any LOAs, any underwriters, any processors that are available, for employment. So, they'll be quick to jump ship if you're not treating them, properly right now.
They are. There's a major shortage of underwriters and processors in the industry, and you know what? You can't hire them fast enough right now. So we really need to be mindful of this and sensitive to it. And look, I do want to give the originators a break from one extent. It's been a tough year for all of us. So, I look at the world today. I've never seen the world so mad in my lifetime. I mean, it's unbelievable. You look at social media, you're like, what is going on out there? You look at major media, it's like, what's happening? It's because of a lot of the things that are going on socially, politically, with the pandemic, all of these things. So I understand the frustration. What I don't understand is how you let that materialize internally to become external. What you have to do is you have to stop it. You have to swallow it. You have to think about your response before you do it. Great bit of advice. If you're upset about something, you're about to hammer out an email or pick up a phone, stop what you're doing, take a walk, think about what you're about to say, and think about the other person and how they're going to receive that and what the ramifications are going to be. And you know what? You'll make a much better decision at the end of the day.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, after you hit send on that email, you don't feel
it's
good.
Over. No, you can't get it back.
Yeah, and 5 minutes afterwards, you're thinking, well, maybe that wasn't my best approach to the situation. So I agree. You gotta take a breather and think about things before you say them, just as well as put them in print.
Powerful statistic to tie into this. It is proven that it takes 18 positive comments to eliminate one negative comment. 18. So just remind yourself, if you send out that email, you're going to have to go out of your way 18 times with that person to get to even, just to even. That doesn't mean you're in good place. You're just getting even. I don't like those odds any better than anybody else does.
Absolutely not.
All right, so let's go to the team side. So we've worked on the loan originators. Let's go to the team side. Okay,
Yep.
So we're sales managers, we're ops managers, we have a team. What are a few tidbits that you have for, being your best self and leading a team? What are some recommendations?
So first off, let me give you a quick philosophy that I have on teamwork. It's called the Redwood mentality of teamwork. And what does that mean? It's based on the redwood trees from the Northwest Pacific part of the U.S. Interesting facts about these. So redwood trees are the tallest and oldest trees in the U.S. Over 2,000 years old, some of them almost 400 feet high, that's 40 stories high, and 60 feet around. Okay, they're massive. They're in the Northwest Pacific part of the U.S., which is the worst place for trees to grow. It's rocky land, it's not dirt, it's clay, it's next to the ocean, lots of storms, lots of problems. So how have they done it? Well, it's interesting. The reason redwoods have grown to be what they are is because it's based on their root system. They're the only trees where the roots don't grow in the ground. They grow on top of the ground and they connect to each other. And what happens is when a storm comes, they hang on to each other to actually weather the storm. And this is an absolute truth. Trees get sick. I never knew this, but this is true. Trees get sick, and when a redwood tree gets sick, the nutrients from the healthy tree that's entwined to the roots pours into the sick tree and literally heals it. It is God's perfect picture of teamwork. So what I always teach leaders is, look, you want a redwood teamwork mindset. You want people working to be connected, work together, work with each other, support each other. You don't want prima donnas. One thing that I've never been a fan of is prima donna employees who think, they're the smartest person in the room all the time and they don't need to be in the team meetings and they don't need to do this, that. No, they do need to be in those things. If you're running a team as a leader, you need everybody on board. It's that simple. And the way that you do that is through collaboration. You do it through what I call a best practices mindset. See, I know if I have 10 employees, and let's say those employees come from different walks of life and different other companies, every one of them has a set of skills that are better than the others in certain areas. What I'm trying to do is get them together to collaborate so that they can learn from each other, grow with each other, and that means good communication. The biggest challenge I find in leadership is many times as leaders, we just don't communicate well enough. So I'm a firm proponent. Have a daily morning meeting with your team every morning. Get them supercharged for the day. Get them communicating to each other. Get them thinking about their goals. Set them on the path the right way. That's a really powerful thing to do. Just 10 or 15 minutes. That's all you need to have.
Like kind of
It's a
huddle, right?
It's a morning powwow. It's a morning huddle. It's exactly what it is. And then check in with them throughout the course of the day to make sure they're staying on course. So you create accountability and you create that mindset that, you know what, the boss is looking. I mean, today we got people working from home all over the place. We have no idea what they're doing. No. You can't have that. And we're lacking communication right now because of it. So you've got to get your people working together, communicating together, collaborating with each other, learning from each other. And the way you do that as a manager is you foster that and you initiate that through good communication, through a Redwood mindset, and through making sure that everybody understands. And here's the whole key to leadership. Vince Lombardi said, success demands singleness of purpose. The achievements of an organization are based on the combined efforts of each individual. So what he's saying there is every person is important to the team. There's no hierarchy. There's nobody more important than anybody else. And to work well, we got to work together. We've got to be connected. If you follow that mindset, you have great team spirit, great team leadership, and great team results.
Speaking on team spirit and back to what you said about, you know, the way the mainstream media is, the way the social media is, and, you know, the negativity in our world, you know, that's probably, you know, inside of everyone. What are you doing as a leader, you know, to help your team, you know, so they're not lashing out, so they're not experiencing some of that outburst that, you know, that we talked about?
Number one, you got to insulate yourself and protect yourself from all of the negativity out there. What does that mean? Simple. Start your day right. The way we start our day typically dictates more of what happens in our day than any other single factor. This is why I like morning team meetings for leaders with their team. This is why I like to teach loan officers and leaders. When you get up in the morning, don't get up and watch the news. There's nothing good on there. Get up, start your day with something powerful. Make sure you're listening to or reading or getting in front of something that will motivate you, inspire you, educate you, get you in the right mind frame, because that's going to dictate how your day begins. And then take respites during the course of the day. You got to every now and then just back out of your business for 5 or 10 minutes and just recollect yourself. You know, when you get these nasty emails or you get a file that falls apart, you got to take a break from that and you got to get your mind back in the game again. Just take a minute, close your eyes, count your blessings, remind yourself, you know, you're not unemployed like so many in the US. You're actually employed in the greatest industry in the world, and you have a chance to make a lot of money. And remind yourself that you have a leadership role in society, in your business, and in your company that really makes a difference for people. When you do those things, it keeps your mind in the right framework. It's really the old idea of garbage in, garbage out. You got to protect yourself from that. You got to have positive in, positive out. And then the other thing is build accountability. This is really important. Every leader and every salesperson, operations person should have an accountability partner. That's somebody that they work with, a colleague that they can trust. It's not your best friend, by the way. It's somebody that will be honest with you about, you know, your behaviors, good and bad, but will also encourage you and give you an opportunity to vent when you have a tough time. That is invaluable because it keeps you motivated. It also keeps you on track and on task.
I love that. I think that's great. And you are correct, Dale. I will 100% agree with you. We certainly all have the privilege of working for the greatest industry ever. You know, I heard an interesting thing on the NBA, the New Jersey NBA was this week. And I was listening to one of the speakers, and they said there were only 2 sectors that grew in 2020. One was our sector, and the second was government. That's it.
Wow.
That's it.
That's amazing. Well, you know, we've been the bright spot of the economy this year. I mean,
Absolutely.
Wall Street's been all over the place. Unemployment numbers been all over the place. You know, there's no industry that has been protected from this coronavirus. Some have done well for spurts and then gone bad after that. We're the only one that has been consistently doing well. We've consistently provided great service and great benefits to the communities that we serve. I love, Laura, how you keep using the term family. That just makes me smile every time you do it. I really love that because that's the mindset that I want us to have. I want us to have that humble hero, that others first mindset. I want us to remember the impact we have every day. You know, I tell loan officers all the time, your title's not loan officer. Your title's life changer. Your title's money giver aware. Your title is friend maker. That's what you do. You're a difference maker.
You're building generational wealth, Dale. You're making a difference for not just that person, but their family, their entire multiple generations. We're making a change. Yes. I mean, like you said, we are life changers. That is for sure.
No question. I mean, you're never going to interview a 3rd or 4th grader that says, when I grow up, I want to be a renter. Okay. It's just not going to happen. So,
that is very true.
We're building the American dream.
On that note, you're also not finding someone that says, I want to sign up for hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and an experience where I'm going to put every personal detail of information ever in my life and give it to someone else.
That's right.
So we, as mortgage professionals, need to ensure that that's not what we're selling. We're not selling, this is the rate and this is the term. We're selling the generational wealth. We're selling the life-changing. We're selling that, not here's your interest rate and this is your amortization. Not at all.
That's right. I teach the loan officers all the time, you know what, we're not in the mortgage business, we're in the money business. And just remind yourself, the beauty of money is that everybody likes it, everybody wants it, nobody's got enough of it, they're all looking for more of it, and we got an unlimited supply. That's what you want to remember. It's like, we just want to give it away. I just want to give it to you. And that's how you become a money giver away. So
I love it. Dale, how do people learn more about you, listen to more of what you are sharing with everyone? Because this has been truly amazing. Thank you for your insights, and it's been such a great experience.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate that. It's been a blessing to be with you guys. I'm so excited to be the first one on this podcast. I woke up this morning feeling awfully good about myself because of the two of you. So thank you for that. You can find me at dalevermillion.com. You can Google my name. You can go to mortgagechampions.com. Any one of those, you can find us. We also have a not-for-profit organization that we started in 2006 called Mortgage Professionals Providing Hope, if anybody's interested. That actually was started because of a life-changing trip that I took to India in 2002 that just changed my life. I had a chance to spend time with 4,000 orphans for 12 days, went into 10 different villages, saw, just poverty like you can't even fathom. Can't even fathom. And I've been back there 10 times. We do work now in India, Guatemala. We've been funding a school in Guatemala for kids who live in a garbage dump, literally live in the garbage dump. We've built orphanages. We've also housed, in the last 2 years alone, we've housed 200 families here in the United States, mostly homeless moms that were single moms with kids. My wife does that for a living. She drives Walmart parking lots looking for homeless, and we house them. So, you can check. Yeah, it's a fun thing. You can check that out at mpph.org. 100% of the money we take in, we give back. We don't take one dime for expenses. I cover those through my company. So that's the 3 places you can find me.
You have an amazing podcast, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
We're going to build a podcast in 2021, actually. So, I'm interviewed all over the country a lot, and I do a lot around there. But we haven't decided to really build one ourselves. Now, we have a podcast we've sold that we sell that we have available. That is actually a 16-session podcast that is like 5-minute segments on just key tips in the marketplace today. You can find more out about that at mortgagechampions.com. So that is a podcast that we created where my son Jake actually interviewed me. He's our head of marketing, bright young guy. He just interviewed me on kind of the key things in the industry to talk about, but we're also going to have a podcast we're going to put out in 2021. We think we're going to start that. It's called The Secret Sauce. So we're looking forward to that too.
Awesome.
Well, Dale, I definitely appreciate you joining us for episode number 1. And thank Jake for, chit-chatting with me and getting all this set up. And I want to mention that you will be part of our next month's Bypass the Bullshit coaching. So
awesome.
Really excited to have you on there for the Build Your Empire coaching session. So we'll have you back, and we'll be able to do a little bit more deeper dive into, what you can do to help these loan officers in 2021.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm honored. And look, you guys you're great at what you do. I appreciate it. This has been a fun interview. I really appreciate you guys greatly. God bless. Have a great Christmas and a great New Year's. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys for many years to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dale. All the best.
Thank you. Take care.